Grab it. Grab it. It's your boy Zap King of Robots. This is your tactical forecast and annual look back. Welcome to 2024. Let us all have a good time, good memories, good robots, and a few good drinks for those of us who are presently in the service industry. Because it's going to be a busy night, and whenever the ball drops, it's going to be busy again. Well, that said, I planned for it better this year, but last year I did kind of a run back of all the games that we completed, and with better planning I've done so this year. But first, let's look at what's going on in January. We start with Super Robot Wars Alpha for Dreamcast every Monday through Thursday at noon. It looks like we'll probably wrap this up come February, and to my memory, there's a lot of easy stages coming through. I will also probably do my very last translation effort in doing the same thing that I had done for Compact 2. Write a brief, easier guide for the Nerve path for the Dreamcast version. Hooray for exclusives. But looks like that's going to wrap up early February. We'll see what the Cosmos has in store. That said, Front Mission 2 should be ending this first weekend. So Friday, Saturday, probably Sunday. I predict I have 2 episodes left, but depending on the way things go and how things happen, we'll see. If it's only 2 episodes, then I have an interlude, another episode of What Is planned for the following Sunday, the 7th. We'll see how that goes. I'll move my microphone slightly because of the way that I continue to turn and look at where I have my whiteboard calendar. I keep turning my head and having it lean to the microphone, so why don't I just move the microphone? But hey, soon, Front Mission 2 wraps up, and we can put that behind us. The new plan. I had stated coming up on the end of Compact 2 that I felt like playing Robot Wars Impact again. And when I looked at the dates and I listened back to the way I played it, yeah, Super Robot Wars Impact is coming back. My first actual revisit of a Super Robot Wars game. I have better tech, better tactics, more knowledge. So, this time will be slightly different. I'll be having that New Game Plus cache, which I need to go and obtain somehow, and I'm realizing that my microphone is incredibly sensitive. Oh well, it's super bouncy. Oh, that is super sensitive. I need to mess with Discord for that one. That said, I somehow either didn't save after the final stage or deleted the wrong save file because I have to play the last stage of Char's counterattack once again. It's fine. I don't mind doing it, but you know, that will be following a very special schedule of being every 3 days. So we will have an episode later today at the usual 3 p.m. time slot, and the next one will be on the 4th, and on the 7th, and on the 10th, and every 3 days. And that spacing, that time slot, is going to be malleable, I think is the word I want. Flexible. if a new game release of high importance drops, such as a new Super Robot Wars, or a different mecha game, or Ayuden Chronicles comes sooner than I expected, sooner than February. Oh, that is in February, isn't it? Maybe go check that out. Whatever the case may be, this will be the flexible time slot where Impact can slide back, and it will get done eventually over time. I think current apace, it will actually take a year if I'm getting 2 episodes a weekend. And, you know, looking at the calendar, some of that's about 3 episodes, like 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, back and forth. So it'll take the better part of a year, like it did the last time I played through. No rush, no pressure. I just want to revisit it, which is part of my weird and obsessive compulsive urge to also help chart and fill out the Akarasu ED. Man, it's super sensitive. Oh, I think I know this. I was used to it fading back and forth, and now it's instantaneous, so it feels more jumpy, more hyper-reactive, but there still may be an audio setting on Discord that needs to be fiddled with. Some kind of sensitivity. Automatic sensitivity. How about that? Maybe that's the problem that I'm not happy with. Anyway. Alpha DC, Front Mission Impact. At some time, I believe in February, the culmination of my co-op Let's Play with A Flightless Bird will probably start releasing. We are working on Valkyrie Profile Covenant of the Plume in the background. He'll be doing his path, I will be doing mine, and we will co-host for one another once that time comes. We will have synchronized uploads. So his episode 1 will be my episode 1 on the same day, no matter what days those might be. But that's background work. Enough ranting and raving, let's talk about last year. 2023. We had like 3 games carry over. Unlike this year, 3 games carry over. We had the end of Compact Color, which I very much enjoyed. It's the preferred version of Compact to play, and in a way it just kind of leaves me wanting to go play Compact 3. Not the same kind of impulse that Compact 2 gave me to play Impact, but, you know, more Super Robot Wars on the Wonder Swan color. But that was a good time. As was Treasure of the Rudras, that one weird Super Nintendo RPG that no one's heard of by Square that isn't translated, and it's also Square's last RPG on the Super Nintendo. I think this deserves to be on a list of Square RPGs in need of the high-def remake? Like, Live Alive, even, I mean, that was years ago, but Live Alive was that RPG that everyone talked about and knew about, and then finally it got the official English release. I would like Rudras to get that same treatment. Like, a loving treatment, the way that Live Alive got, the way that Mario RPG got. We also had the end of Robot Wars Alpha 3, almost concluding the 5-part saga of Super Robot Wars Alpha. The 5th part being Alpha on Dreamcast, even if it's the first game again. Still, for me, it's a 5-part piece. I almost said a 5-part trilogy, and that just doesn't make sense. But that left a bad taste in my mouth, so much so that I put it back on my list of the giant wheel of games to play because I feel like I got cheated out of the best ending. I wasn't aware that you pretty much either had to have perfect gameplay forever, or you have to take less secrets to get more skill points and come in under the turn limit. Because those last two stages force so many extra turns. It's ridiculous. It's rude. So while the game was fun, I have a sense of revenge. One day, one year, we will come back and I will new game plus that shit. As for games that occurred and began and ended in 2023, the one shot of Treasure Conflicts. It had gotten a fan translation like mid to late December. Several of my streaming associates, people that I'm a fan of, had played it and they sat and did it in one stream. So I went ahead and sat and did it in one stream. And now, someone I look up to, All Dragon, is doing a Let's Play of it with another Let's Player named Zerfall. I will not remember to put that in the description. So, hey, look up the most recent Let's Play for Treasure Conflicts for people who are playing it blind. They're not following a guide. They don't have, like, the knowledge. The instant knowledge of how things work and what to do. I also got deep into Vampire Survivors. And while that was fun, and it was a great way to like do daily uploads and see, hey, how long will it take to unlock everything? 73 attempts to unlock everything at that juncture. And I just never went back for the increasing amount of DLC that's been dropping. I think 2 new packs, and even now, there's, I would say probably a couple of weeks ago by now, there was a collaborative event with Among Us. And that looks fun, but I just don't have the time to go back into it. Even though Front Mission came out at the end of 2022, we started that in 2023 and ran both sides, both campaigns, and by a country mile, which means about 5 miles or so when you can't see it on the horizon, Front Mission First is a way better game than Front Mission Second. And maybe not necessarily better, but certainly more fun, more responsive, less buggy. Might actually be equally as buggy. I'll have to do a check on that. I'm not gonna... you know what? Yes, we are gonna check on it now. I'm gonna bring up my history, and we're gonna search for anything that has CC- in it. Because that was my note for crash count. And Front Mission 2 has a crash count of 7. And if I look for Front Mission First, I route out completely crash count, also 7. So there's time for Front Mission 2 to end up being buggier. But Front Mission First was more fun. Hey, maybe in 2024 we'll get Front Mission 3. We are at a pace of once a year. We revisited one of the first Let's Plays I did on my PC, G-Savior. We played it on hard mode. I did research, and it was at the same time that I was a Patreon for Giant Robot FM and chose for them to do G-Savior coverage. which they went above and beyond to do, but also invited me on to talk about the episode with the game. So myself, I became a speedrunner. I had a world record for about a day, and now I'm second, maybe third place at this point. I haven't looked. So let's look for... Let's see, any percent, new game plus. Yep. I am third place of 3 people. Doesn't matter. It's fine. The fact is that I have a speedrun record. I could improve it if I wanted. I don't want to. But that was really fun to go back and play through and unlock and like establish. I established a new Game Plus category and revived that game for several people. It was good. The Anomaly of Minigames, Salamander County Public Television, came out. A collection of minigames across a month, much in the style of WarioWare, but clip art? That was really fun to go through. Theater Rhythm, Final Bar Line. My second longest Let's Play, chronologically speaking. I mean, unless... Ooh, third longest? This time I'm not going to go look, I promise. But I think the one that took the longest calendar date time is probably Super Robot Wars 30, and then Impact, and then Theater Rhythm. Because that came out in April, and we were playing that all the way into early November. The last DLC dropped, like, right before my birthday. And then the hype drops. We played Kusoge, not knowing it was trash. Like, I really went into this game wanting to have a good time, expecting a good time. Like, I heard it's kind of blah, kind of meh, kind of mid, but it was just repetitive in the most unfun way, and the end game was an atrocity, and the difficulty curve is not intended for its target audience. You can go back to my final episodes and my monthly updates for that, and that whole game was like the highest of, yeah, let's go, to I regret getting that as a Christmas gift. A plague upon you. So we washed our mouths and our eyes and our hands with a little bit of Super Robot Wars Pinball. That's a good game. It's a shame that I couldn't play it on hardware, which would have been busting out the GameCube and plugging that in and figuring out how to get that to go. Since the Super Game Boy, and I even bought a Super Game Boy 2 under the misunderstanding that you could play Game Boy Color games in that. You can't. It just has more border palettes and options for Game Boy games. Oof. No, but I mean, the oof is just the Super Game Boy part. The oof is not Super Robot Wars Pinball. It is the unofficial sequel to Pokemon Pinball before Pokemon Pinball 2 came out. We began the conquest of Super Robot Wars Compact 2, which I am impressed that I got all 3 games done in a year at a faster time span than I did when I played out Impact. Granted, well, the second part was very fun. The first part was fun. What am I saying? Dragon Force, that weird little RPG on the Sega Saturn that is very expensive. It's a good game, but Jesus, is it obtuse? While, again, I enjoyed it, because of the nature of like when you can do things and how everything would vary from one main character to another, you can't really like, you would have to have a printed strategy guide, and that would probably have to have several sections, be like a thick book, like something for Vanguard Bandits or the Japanese guides for Super Robot Wars, which are upwards of 300 pages for some games. Like, I'm looking at the Japanese guide that I have for Robot Wars Original Generations on the PlayStation 2, and that's about as thick as a Bible. Like, Hotel Bible thick. Novella thick. But the game was good. It's just hard? Hard to figure out, not hard to play. We did a brief romp with a co-worker and friend. He had a Nintendo 64 disc drive, and we brought that over and played a handful of games. We did F-Zero GX updated. We did Goshen the Giant. We did the upgraded, like, art software? Mario Studio? I have the thumbnail, I just didn't use it. I kept the thumbnail for that. I'm sure it did. Didn't I? Did I keep all three of those thumbnails or just the one? Yes. Polygon Studio. Hey. I know I said I would stop checking, but I knew that was a quick check. I just had to look at the name. But that was fun as hell to, you know, divulge into making a few of my regular watchers think, did I just pay for a 64 DD? We got into the second part of Super Robot Wars Compact 2. It was also good. We learned the hard and scary way how that's supposed to work. I was playing part 1 on a WonderSwan Color emulator, and when I went to carry it over to part 2, it's like, what data? You ain't got no data here, son. Turns out all I had to do was switch emulators, and I didn't even have to do it, change files. It's just load game into WonderSwan emulator, engage the transfer. And part 2, for having less characters that I would have cared for, that is, less characters that I care for, it was still good. Street Fighter 6. That dropped, and while that was a really fun way for a fighting game story mode, I did not get back into fighting games. I enjoyed the story mode for what it's worth, and I put the game down. I got my money's worth out of it. I'm sure there's a little bit of DLC out there. I could probably go through and still get the other fighting styles for whatever DLC characters have come out. I think only Aki has come out since then, or at least as far as I've heard. Once Let's Plays that I was watching and making had ended, it was off the radar. It's a fight game. Go sit over here now until the next fighting game with a really good story mode. While I was doing that, though, I did my first co-hosting, streaming my friend A Flightless Bird's conquest of every Final Fantasy game on stream. He doesn't stream on Twitch, he streams on YouTube, so if you sub to his channel, you'll get the notifications of when he's going to play a video game. And you watch him live on YouTube. But he allowed me to co-host Mystic Quest with him, which was the first... Like, we had talked for a while about, you know, what could we collab together with, because he'd wanted to collab with anyone, and I'm a cool guy, and I wanted to collab with him, because he's a cool guy, and that was the first one. He even named Benjamin Zappa for that. And as you can see, he made the thumbnail, put me in there, which is consistent with every other co-hosted thing that I did with him. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk dropped. Like, I had forgotten that it was coming out, and then a week before it was coming out, it's like, yo, it's coming. So, bam, that was a great time. It made me put nostalgia glasses on for the Jet Set franchise. Kill your nostalgia. Sometimes. There's a time when you think games are good, and at some point you realize, you learn, you get older, and you can tell the difference between when a game is good and when you didn't know how to tell games weren't good. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk was very good. Nostalgia glasses were not. While I was playing that, like I said, did more co-hosting. I guided a flightless bird through Parasite Eve 1, which I think he said he had played like a touch of, a little bit of. He put his flippers into the pool of mitochondria. That was a fun time co-hosting, but co-hosting stuff lately has eaten up some of my recording time. I enjoy it, and the more often we do it, the sooner we get through it, and we can blitz through games. Makes me wish I had more free time. I had discovered through Giant Robot FM and PMC Trilogy's channel SD Gundam Scanhammers, and that looked like a really fun game, and it was a cheap game to grab on the Wii. And then it was kind of meh. And looking back, it could very well be that a lot of my problems were actually caused by input lag, thinking I'm swinging for one thing, and what I'm swinging for is like a whole half a second, full second late. But that didn't make the game any less like grind heavy or exhausting for that matter. It's a fun gimmick. And coming back around to the nostalgia goggles thing, while the memories of Jet Set Radio Future are strong and entertaining and fun, the completionist journey through it was not. And the controls, to be blamed on memory, age, the Xbox controller aren't the best. They're not the most responsive, and that's even solving the whole input lag problem. It just wasn't the fun romp that I remembered and wanted it to have been. Game still good, memory is still good. Game meh, memory good. That's the correct answer. Parasite Eve 2 though. Once again, myself and a flightless bird. We went through both endings of this, thinking we had a third ending. There was no third ending. This was the one game where we really sank a lot more time into recording this so that he could pump out episodes and get them through, and that really tight space between when it went live and when Mario RPG dropped. However, before Mario RPG came out, Halloween happened. We played actual known Kusoge, The Ring Tears Realm. What does it say about a game when actual known bad survival horror game, The Ring, which is known for its very bad early game music and whatever controls. It was more entertaining than what I had to go through for SD Gundam Force. Fuck that game. But The Ring, that was a good time, and I'm surprised I hadn't actually played it sooner, even though the first copy I bought didn't work and I never tested it, and by the time it was needing to buy a new copy, it cost dollars. At least I have a working copy. Slay the Princess was a stealth drop as far as I'm concerned. I didn't know it was a thing that existed until it was out and folks were playing it. And I'm not always in for visual novels, but that had a gimmick, had a bit, I was in. And then I had a bit, and for a brief time, I was gonna do like the completionist thing, go through every achievement, and then I chose not to. I just didn't want to. Like, there are channels out there that did it, and they probably did it better than I would have. But I feel like when it comes to visual novels that have deliberate multiple branching paths, like it's a short game with a network of paths, a let's play of one path is good enough, and ideally you inspire others who have watched to go and get that game and venture down their own path. Translation! 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 Hey, it's published, it's on GameFAQs, and now the masses can play all three parts. People are saying thank you for doing it. Hey, that looks good, good job. You know what? That's good enough. People have watched the videos. Other people have read the texts. It was daunting. It took entirely longer than I had expected to. But given the infrequency of my free time, and just sometimes that motivation doesn't hit you at the right time, that focus doesn't hit you at the right time. But you know what? We got it in just at the beginning of December. And lastly, probably like the fastest let's... No, not the fastest let's play. But, yeah, I was surprised that Super Mario RPG Remake went so fast and so clean. It's so good. It builds upon the greatness of the original and takes it to the next step. And just like, it is the same thing while being just different enough that it is also its own thing. If you haven't played it, do so. If you haven't watched it, do so. Yo, that was a real good fucking game. But we have, as the music appropriately winds down and restarts in now, we have to choose a game for replacing Front Mission. Now, at a juncture, last month, matter of fact, I had said that I was going to easy mode myself and play a Super Robot Wars game that was in English. And what I did on my own was took 7 English Robot Wars games. No, I think I took 8 and then 2 slots of Impact. And I spun it down elimination style and managed to get Robot Wars Impact as the easy mode game. I mean, it is a revisit. It's not English, but I'm gonna call it easy mode, I hope. I'm not gonna stress out over it. I'm gonna make sure it's easy. blah blah blah, whatever. Back on point, I have formed a wheel for Front Mission's replacement. Behold, it is here. For those who can't read sideways or upside down, the games are Judgment for the PC, Super Robot Spirits, that old fight game that for years was one of my top viewed videos until this last few months, this last rush of games. Super Robot Wars A Portable on the PSP. Maso Kishin the First on the Super Nintendo. Live Alive for the Nintendo Switch. Need for Speed Underground, a racing game on the PS2. It's probably my favorite racing game ever, and I'm saying this with a thick pair of nostalgia goggles on. And then 2 games that have been gifted to me by a friend of the channel, now known as Super Retro Theater. Last Christmas he got me Project Nimbus, and this year, a few weeks ago, he got me Tactics Ogre Let Us Clean Together, the PC remake. And so, once I get my windows in order, this is not an elimination style, this is one and done. Rotate the board. Tactics Ogre Let Us Clean Together will now be beginning at some point, easily the 2nd week of January. So, as is the tradition of doing stuff and observing things, I don't want that one. I want this one. We're gonna run down the schedule real quick here at the end of the video. Robot Wars Alpha for Dreamcast every Monday through Thursday at noon. Looks to be wrapping up early February. The remaining episodes of Front Mission 2 Remake will come out Friday, Saturday, probably Sunday at noon, followed by the now chosen Tactics Ogre Let Us Clean Together. Super Robot Wars Impact, starting on the 1st, will come out every 3rd day. So 1, 4, 7, 10, so on and so forth. Until it's done. If a more important game comes out, it will be shelved temporarily. But Impact will be coming out on those infrequent days at 3 p.m. Coming soon, coordinated with A Flightless Bird, Valkyrie Profile Covenant of the Plume. Look for that February, maybe March. We'll have to see what the pace of his next RPG Let's Play is. And then, as previously spoken, beginning the 2nd weekend of this month, Tactics Ogre Let Us Clean Together, I will have to go make assets, observe, make thumbnails, and we'll see how much of that game I'm going to play through. I think I'm only going to take one path and just let it go. That's the kind of game that I tried to play through so many times on the PSP, but because I have such a weirdo, you must complete this mentality, I never actually finished it because I kept starting over and trying a different thing, The format of the video recorded Let's Play will force me to go forward, make progress, and stop resetting. And ideally, as was stated by my Greek friend, it's better than the PS3 version. Like, the content is the same, but the interface and some systems are vastly improved. Very much a good thing. Hey, The room has seen a few updates, new things on the walls, and a few friends have joined the shelves. A flightless bird is on your right, and a wrapping of tinfoil with beam rifles, a Spartan helmet, and a jetpack. Paz is featured on Super Retro Theater's channel every now and again. Hey, those are like my really good like direct network YouTube friends. They are streamers that I look up to. I would like to call them friends. YouTubers I look up to, I would like to call them friends. But these are my YouTube friends. And, you know, expect them to be on the channel. More frequently than not at all. My channel continues to grow. Hey, this year we got over 500 subscribers and we're at 560. I feel like it's only going to take me 3 months to get to 600 as opposed to how it would take me a year to get less than 100. Yo, you put in work, it starts to show. And maybe one day I can actually make a couple of dollars off of YouTube. If you want to help that happen, if you want to keep my butt in this chair more often and not have to go to real life actual job, like, share, and subscribe. You know, that weird trilogy of things to do wherein it tricks and tells the algorithm, this is good content. This man puts in work, and it is good content. So, comment on the videos if you have something to say. Or just say hello, or cool robot, or nice vid. I'll take anything positive. Or, you know, give me the tips and tricks that maybe I didn't see back then. Maybe I whiffed something in Tactics Ogre. Or there's been a patch and I need to roll back several saves and replay the ending of Front Mission. Or whatever it is that I botched and forgot or did not do. I stream infrequently on Twitch, twitch.tv/ACE_Zappa. We will try to get back into more frequent streaming. Now that I'm not translating anymore, I feel like I can stream more. Most certainly it is easier for me to stream on the days I do not work, so look for me somewhere about noon on Wednesdays and Thursdays. I'll try to stream for a few hours at the very least, so that we can all talk and complain and sing along and karaoke at the same time together, live. Good luck this year, y'all. Just, you know, don't forget, you can always reach out to someone if there's a problem. You are not alone. You are matter. You are brilliant. You are loved. Good night, Space Lords.
All combat is over. Now that you've tasted victory, I'm sure you'll be back.